Hey, Homeless Bob here. I want to talk to you today about the bus project, lighting concerns, other things, and why I'm making this video in the first place. Check it. Yeah, that's more of Pachuto's thing. It doesn't really work for me. I'll start with the bus project, because why not? I'm in here. As you can see, part 2 is underway. This roof section is gone, and soon all of this will be gone, and that's ready for raising, etc., etc. I'm taking part 2 of this bus project quite a bit differently. I'm using a different approach than I did for part 1. And it has nothing to do with the project itself. It has everything to do with how I designate part structure on the video series. For part 1, I pretty much just did as much work as I could in a week, and that was part 1. And that sort of worked for part 1, but if I kept doing that, then the video series would get a bit long in the tooth, and I think people can only handle so many parts of deconstructing the bus. So what I'm doing for part 2 is I've set a goal, and once I hit that goal, then part 2 will be done, and it will not be done before that. In the case of part 2, the goal is to get the roof raised, remove all of this wires, remove all of this structure in the back here, and probably remove the end cap. And then I'll call part 2 done and I'll start editing it. Now the problem with that approach is that the video is going to take a little while to put out. I probably won't have a video next week, and that's why I'm doing this video today, is just so you have an update and some sense of what's going on. So I probably won't have a video next week, and I will almost certainly have a video the week after that. And then after that, I'm going to the Trabant Parade in Washington, D.C. at the International Spy Museum. By the way, if you're going to be in the Washington, D.C. area on November 9th, come visit me. I'll be there with my Trabant at the International Spy Museum. Side note there. So yeah, part 2 will be a little bit delayed because of the new structure that I'm planning on doing, but it is coming. I am in the middle of working on it. I mean, in the next couple of days, I'll be taking a break because I have a wedding to go to, but ignore that part. Also, yeah, part 2, there's a lot of work involved in this, the whole roof raising and removing all of this stuff. I'm about halfway done, and it is just taking a lot out of me, and this whole room smells very strongly of steel dust and cancer right now. Also, if you're wondering about the Homeless Bob appearance, that was my attempt to capture passage of time while working on the bus. I thought I would shave the first day I worked on the bus and then not shave until I finished part 2. The problem with that plan is my short-sightedness, because I forgot that I have a wedding to go to in the middle of it, and I'll be not working on the bus for several days. So even if I didn't have to shave for the wedding, which I'm going to because I feel gross, even if I didn't have to shave for the wedding, it would still be like 4 days for this to grow out, and that would not capture the passage of time very well. So likely in part 2, the first half of it, I'll be growing facial hair, and in the second half of it, that'll just stop. And whatever, you'll just deal with it. I'll just look grosser and grosser and more disheveled as time goes on in the first half, and in the second half, I'll look mostly clean until I'm covered in steel dust. Anyway, back to the part structure on the bus project series. The main reason I'm approaching each part as a goal-based initiative rather than a time-based initiative is because that's what I would like to see from myself or anyone else. If someone else was tackling a project like this, I wouldn't want to see weekly updates. I would want to see real chunks of things happening, even if that meant long periods of time passing between each video. It's just what I would want to see, and ultimately that's what I want to put out, is things that I would want to watch. A good example of that sort of thing is Bad Obsession Motorsports. I mean, they're kind of the gold standard for project videos, aren't they? They put out a video, they're doing this full time now, and they put out a video roughly once a month, and just the quality that goes into these videos is outstanding. I don't know how they have the time to do it still, even though they're doing it full time. And they have 2 projects underway right now. One of them is a competing bus project. It's not really a bus, it's more of a cargo van, but whatever. I'm going to call it a competing project. Anyway, I'm putting out the sort of videos that I would want to watch, and that's the main reason for me taking this approach, even if it's not the best for YouTube, which demands you put out a consistent video on a consistent schedule to keep your audience happy. Whatever, I think my main audience, my core audience, will understand, and they'll be happy to wait. especially since I'm explaining it to you now and I'm not just going silent for a couple weeks. Now let's talk about lighting for a little bit, because that's something I am continually terrible about. I just suck at lighting. A good example of that is this new presentation station I put up, this whiteboard here. One of the problems is the lighting in the shop isn't very good. I put up 4 massive saucer LEDs in my shop because it was easy to put up, and when I moved into this shop there were no lights or electricity at all, so I wanted something that was quick and easy to put up. But there's 4 big saucer lights, each putting out 21,000 lumens each, and they're LEDs with no driver. So you can see the 60 hertz fluctuation. You can really see it on this whiteboard, especially if I speed up the camera a little bit. You can see sort of a rolling shutter effect across this whiteboard. But anyway, there's only 4 of them, and they're just massive spotlights, and the lighting is not very uniform. And one of them is sort of off to the side over this presentation area. One of the upgrades I'd like to do in my shop at some point is just get proper LED strip lights with drivers in them that don't flutter with the frequency of the AC, and spread them around the shop roof and take down these 4 centralized lights so that I have a more spread out, more diffused lighting that is brighter and is just casts fewer shadows. So that's one problem, is that the shop lighting isn't very good. But another problem is that I'm not very good at lighting, and the screen on my camera is very small. So when I look at things on that tiny camera screen, sometimes they look great on the camera screen, but when I go to edit it, it just looks awful, and it's kind of too late to do anything unless I want to refilm everything. Also, sometimes with this whiteboard, I have massive trouble setting up screens. Also, sometimes I wear a hat that casts a shadow on my face, and that's an easy thing to rectify, as I've done in this video. Although now you get to see more of homeless beard face. But anyway, another problem is this whiteboard is oddly reflective. I don't know what to do about that. The solution I have right now is to put the studio lights I have all the way on the floor. If I put them any higher than that, then I have the problem of you can see the reflection on the whiteboard of the lights. When I first made this presentation station, you could very clearly see the reflection of the studio lights on either side of me. And now I put them on the floor, and you can't see the reflection anymore, but the lighting's not any good. There's this table in front of me, it casts a shadow, and the lighting isn't hitting my face very well, and basically the only light for this is that one stupid spotlight that's way off center up there in the ceiling, and I'm just not very good at lighting. Also, I think I could use a camera upgrade at some point, but I'm not entirely sure that would fix a lot of my problems. I'm pretty sure it's mostly user error rather than my equipment. So I don't think upgrading my equipment would do a whole lot. Also, I'm not very good at messing with the white balance and the exposure and all that other stuff on the camera, because the screen's very small and I can't tell much while I'm filming it, while I'm actually using the camera. I tell more when I'm editing. I guess I could get some sort of tiny monitor or something, but that seems extravagant. Anyway, there was really no point in this discussion. I'm just not very good at lighting, and I have no way of solving that. Maybe I could take a course on Skillshare or something talking about camera lighting. I don't know. It's also difficult to move around my studio lights when I'm working on projects. The bus is a pretty good example of that. Every time I want to move where I'm working, I have to carry around these 2 studio lights, the power extension cord, and the camera to the new location, and then set that up. It's not too much of a hassle, and I'm making a video out of it, so I should expect such things, but it's just a little bit of extra work on top of the actual project that I'm working on. Also, the WeGo is really hard to film because it's dark and it affects the exposure, the automatic exposure on the camera hugely. So every time I film the WeGo, I have to manually set the exposure so that everything else around the WeGo isn't overexposed. It's very annoying. Also, quick aside here, I got a fun new tool from a wood shop. I've never had a miter saw until now, and now I have one, and this is the specific miter saw I chose. It's from Evolution Tools, and its party trick is that it can cut through wood and steel. It can even do that with one blade, although this is the combination blade that came with it, and they don't recommend it for very much steel cutting use, so I got a dedicated steel blade to go with it as well. And the way it accomplishes this is very simple. It's just a regular miter saw, except the blade spins slower. Most miter saws spin at around 5,000 RPM. This one spins at around 3,500 RPM. And it wasn't very expensive either. It's actually cheaper than comparable normal wood miter saws. So that was a bonus as well. And I can just keep the combination blade in there and cut wood with nails in it or any other crap that they advertise. I think I may do an actual product review on my second channel, which is Underdone. If you're not familiar with my second channel, go subscribe now. I think I might actually make a product review of this thing, and I might make something with it just to, I don't know, just for funsies while I'm reviewing the product. A little spoiler alert, this thing is kind of low quality. It's very disappointing, and the first cut I made into steel was into this little steel strip, and it broke the blade. So that wasn't a very good start. Anyway, I just wanted to show you my cool new tool. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to talk about the bus project a little bit and how much I stink at lighting and show you a new tool and some other little things. And that's pretty much it. So anyway, thanks for watching, and thanks to my Patreon supporters for your continued support. And I've been gathering a lot of new patrons lately, and it's really awesome. It's really helpful right now since I've started working on the bus, and my video output will slow down a little bit to know that I have a solid Patreon following. So it's pretty great. And this bus is going to take quite a lot of time. So thank you for your support on Patreon. Also, if you didn't know about Patreon, I have one. So anyway, thank you. Homeless Bob out.